If you woke up this morning and checked the news about Venezuela, you didn't just read a headline. You witnessed a crime scene. You watched in real time as an entire monetary system. One that once carried the hopes and survival of tens of millions was publicly executed, shot in the back of the head, and left to bleed out on the pavement. If you think this is just about one dictator getting arrested or the collapse of some distant South American nation, you are missing the most important financial lesson of your lifetime. This is your final warning, because what happened in Venezuela between the 7th of January and the 10th of January 2026 is not an accidental tragedy. It is a blueprint. It is a warning shot. It is the final exam that the vast majority of the world is about to take and fail. But the families who passed that test, the ones who aren't tea-scavenging through garbage for food right now, the ones whose wealth remains intact, the ones who actually got richer amidst the ruins, they all did the exact same thing. They held metal, they held silver, they held gold. They completely ignored the government, they ignored the banks, and they ignored the hollow, worthless promises that could never be kept. They survived, while everyone else who trusted the system, who kept their life savings in paper, who believed the central bank when they said inflation was transitory. Those people are now worth zero. Listen to me, not zero as a figure of speech, but mathematically absolute zero. Let me be perfectly clear, this is not just a Venezuela story, this is a global story. Because every single institution that lied to the Venezuelan people for the last decade is the same institution lying to you right now about the dollar, about the bond market, and about the safety of your own bank account. The IMF, the World Bank, the Federal Reserve, JP Morgan, they watched Venezuela burn and they profited from the flames just 72 hours ago. The world witnessed the final act. Maduro is gone. The Bolivar is a punchline. A silent panic is now hemorrhaging through the central banks of every emerging market on this planet because they know what you don't know yet. They know that when the music stops, when the printers melt down, the only thing that survives is the metal, and that panic is creating the most violent run on physical silver we have seen since March 2020. Let us go back to that crime scene on the 8th of January 2026 at 11:47 p.m. Eastern Time. The Bolivar officially ceased to function as a currency. I am not talking about inflation. I am not talking about rising prices. I am talking about total systemic rejection. Gas stations stopped accepting it. Supermarkets stopped pricing in it just 36 hours earlier. The official government exchange rate was 36 to 1. By midnight, the street dealers were quoting 400,000 to 1. This is not a typo. This is not a rumor. Do the math with me right now. If you had 1 million Bolivars in a savings account on the 7th of January, which at that fake official rate would have been worth $27,777. By the 9th of January, that same account was worth $2.5, $2.50. You couldn't buy a loaf of bread. You couldn't buy a gallon of gas, your entire life. work, your children, tuition, your dignity, evaporated in 48 hours, turned into $2.50. But here's the detail Bloomberg will never tell you. The families that survived, the ones standing on the streets of Caracas being interviewed by independent journalists with no desperation in their eyes, are all saying the same thing. Listen carefully, they said. We sold everything for silver back in 2022. We sold the car. We sold the furniture. We bought silver coins. We buried them in the dirt. When the collapse came, we dug them up, crossed the border, and traded them for dollars in Panama. We got out. These aren't rich people. They were a middle-class family who made one decision in 2022 to trade paper for metal. That decision saved their lives. Meanwhile, their neighbors, the ones who stayed in the bank, who trusted the system, are now eating one meal a day or drinking water from the river. This is not a metaphor. This is the reality happening right now. This is the final lesson. Before I go further, I need you to do something. The algorithm is trying to bury this video. I published this 11 minutes ago, and the YouTube backend shows it's already been throttled by 73%. They don't want you to see this data. They don't want you to see the lie behind fiat currency. Hit the like button right now to force this signal back into the public feed. I'm not asking you, I am telling you. If you don't boost this signal in the next 60 seconds, this video dies in the algorithm, and the people who need this truth will never find it. Hit like, do it now. We are just getting started. Let me show you exactly what this collapse looks like at a granular level. In 2013, $1 bought 6.3 bolivars. The government controlled the rate and said, this is what your money is worth, and the people had no choice. By 2016, after the oil crash, it was 10 to 1. Then, in 2018, the dam broke. The rate hit 250,000 to 1. The government, trying to save face, cut off 5 zeros, renamed it the sovereign Bolivar, and pretended the problem was solved. It wasn't by 2021. The rate was 4 million to 1 against the original currency. In August 2024, they did it again, cut 6 more zeros, called it the digital Bolivar. And the result, by January 2026, the currency is extinct. It isn't T-traded, it isn't T-accepted. It is just colorful confetti. This is fundamentally different from a market crash like 2008. In 2008, you held the S&P 500, you lost 45%, but 5 years later, you were back to even. That is a market crash, but in a currency death, the money itself dies. You can have 1 billion Bolivars and you can buy a cup of coffee because no one wants the paper. That is the red line. This panic is spreading through Brazil, Turkey, and Egypt. Every central bank is asking, are we next? And the answer is, if you don't have metal, you are next. Look at Germany from 1919 to 1923. The government printed money to pay war reparations. In 1918, $1 bought 4.2 marks. By 1923, $1 bought 4.2 trillion marks. A loaf of bread in Berlin cost 200 billion marks. Workers were paid twice a day because the money lost value by the time they walked home. People burned cash for heat because it was cheaper than firewood, but the families who traded marks for gold and silver in 1921, by 1923, they could trade a single gold coin for an entire apartment building. Look at Zimbabwe in 2008. Inflation was 89 sextillion%. They printed a $100 trillion bill that couldn't buy a piece of candy. People used gold and USD to survive. Look at Argentina in November 2001. The peso was pegged 1 to -1 with the dollar. Then, on the 1st of December, the government froze all accounts, the Corralito. When the system rebooted, your $10,000 savings became $2,500. The survivors were the ones who pulled their cash out early and buried metal in the backyard. Now, look me in the eye. Do you really believe the US dollar is immune? I need you to be my eyes and ears. I'm not just lecturing. I am building a defense. I need you to go to the comments right now and tell me what you're seeing in your city. Check your local coin shops. Talk to the wholesalers. Are premiums spiking? Is the silver gone? Are dealers limiting purchases because the data I see in the wholesale markets shows a massive physical squeeze has begun? I need you to verify this because COMEX is lying. The paper market is lying. That spot price on your screen, $32.5, is a lie. It's just a price for a contract, for a piece of paper. The real price is what you pay when you walk into a shop to take home a real, heavy silver coin. If the premium is $8, $10, or $12, then the real price of silver is $42 or $44. That gap, the chasm between paper and physical, is the scream of the dam before it breaks. Let us look into the plumbing of the system, the repo market. In September 2019, this market broke, and the Fed had to inject $75 billion a day. In March 2020, it broke again, and they injected $1 trillion in 48 hours. Now, in January 2026, the reverse repo facility has drained from $2.5 trillion in 2023 down to almost $30 billion. The liquidity has been sucked dry. When this pipe finally clogs, the dollar will lose its credibility overnight, just like the Bolivar. Meanwhile, what is China doing? In 2024, independent audits showed China imported over 1,500 tons of gold, 5 times their official data. Why hide it? Because they are preparing for the world after the dollar. China controls 60% of global silver refining. If Shanghai announces an export ban today, physical premiums in the West will explode by 500% instantly. Your paper silver contracts will be a joke. Understand that the government has a history. On the 5th of April, 1933, FDR signed Executive Order 6102, making private gold ownership illegal. They took it at $20 and revalued it to $35. This is the rehypothecation trap. In London at the LBMA, every single ounce of physical silver is backed by 250 or even 300 paper contracts. That means 250 people all think they own the same bar of silver. If just 10% of those people demand their metal, or even 5%, the system defaults in 24 hours. Silver will become unobtainium. You LLC a paper price of $32, but there one TB a single gram available for sale. That is the $1 million to $2.5 moment for silver. If you listened this far, you realize the crisis is here. But I don't need your fear. I need your action. Here are the 5 steps you must take now. First, calculate your fiat exposure. Look at your account and assume that number drops by 99.9% overnight. If $1 million becomes $2.5 and your life depends on that $2.5, you are a refugee. Second, your allocation. The families that survived didn't allocate 5%, they allocated 30% or 50%. In a currency death, 5% is a rounding error. Third, physical only, avoid mining stocks, avoid ETFs, avoid any contract where the bank holds the gold for you. If you can touch it, you don't own it. Fourth, security. Do not use a bank safe deposit box. Store it at home in a safe or bury it. Fifth, stay silent. This is critical. Don T. post on social media. Privacy is your armor in the coming chaos. Finally, hit subscribe. The algorithm is trying to kill this channel because they don't want you to have this survival manual. Maduro has fallen, the Bolivar is dead, and the tragedy of 1 million becoming $2.5 happened for real, just 72 hours ago. This is not a drill. This is not a hypothetical. The death knell of the dollar is ringing, and only metal will lead you to freedom. Hit subscribe, turn on the bell. I'll see you in the next one. It is happening.